Boy, I just pinched my finger by trying to adjust the tripod. Silly thing. Okay. I got my other one over here. It should be plenty long to go on this one here. And this first one has to zip back over through on this side here. You won't even really see that one, but I mean, you get the idea, right? I'm just gonna put that one into the pipe how it was before, and seeing if I can make this push in a little bit. See, it doesn't really go in very far. But that's okay. I got it enough. I got it enough. That's good right there. That's good. Good and plenty. And it won't, that is not going to come out of there. And it's got nowhere to go once I get it up there, you know. That's why I'm not too worried about putting any screws in it or anything like that. See, you don't have to call a air conditioning person because, oh, that's an air conditioning duct. I don't know how to mess with that. Well, now you do, right? Do you need to call anybody on this? Is there anything I've shown you that you don't think you can do? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Okay. Dodike. Come on, where's the other piece? There it is. It just has to be rearranged a little. And pushed in there. Just like that. Just like that. And the show's almost over. Oh, I'm gonna sit down on the job. Ooh, let's sit down on the job. There's no way you're gonna do that if you didn't have that tool to crimp this. If you didn't have that tool, the only way to connect that would be to cut a strip, fit it over, and then tape it all, you know. And you can do it that way, but the best way is how this was installed initially. And that tool, I had one of those tools years ago. I don't know whatever happened to it. Looks like a pair of tin snips, but it's got a funky head on it. You put it on there, squeeze, and you just kink that. Well worth the money. Well worth the money. I think it was about $15. You can't find those. I don't think you can find them in a regular hardware store like Home Depot. I'd be very surprised if Home Depot has them. They might, but if they don't, you can go to a wholesale mechanical plumbing wholesale house, commercial wholesale house, and they'll probably sell you a pair. And they'll tell you some sob story. Well, you know, we're not really set up to charge a retail customer, somebody who doesn't have an account with us, but we'll do it just this once. And they do it. Okay. All right, so now I can have that right like that, or I can put the zip over this way. I can leave that, or I can cut the zip tie off. I think I'm gonna leave it for the time being, in case I ever need to lower it down a little bit. But I shouldn't have to. See, there you go. That's it. What do you think? We got everything. We got everything resolved. I'll clean up in here, and it will look like we were never, ever here. You saw all the steps we had to do to get everything back together. And I'm quite impressed. I'm glad you were able to stick around and check it out with me. Now see, these are TJIs, I call them. And the strength is this vertical piece, but the bottom piece has a groove in it, and the top piece. And it's designed, you can knock holes in it and not lose its strength, depending how big of the holes you make. See, somebody drilled a hole in there and they used a zip tie, and that's how they tied that up. And they did the same thing on that one, and on the next one. See, they also did it right here, didn't they? They zip tied this up, and they probably did it down there. See how big of a hole they did? They didn't have to drill it that big, but it did not really break the strength of this. There's certain places on TGIs you can cut, certain places not, depending on the height and all that. So I don't want to tell you anything wrong, but if you had a long 2x12 and it was spanning 10 feet and you start drilling holes in it, you can't do that. Okay? On TJIs, in some places you can, depending where you drill the hole, how big it is, how far from the wall on out, and all that kind of stuff. Because I had big, huge TJIs, probably 2 feet tall, in a commercial building, and I had to drill some holes, cut some holes through them for air conditioning, ductwork, and just different things. And I had to look very carefully on the plans. We had to have it structurally engineered. I had to tell the guy, you know, how big the TJIs were, how tall, how wide they were at the bottom, how far they were spanning, and all that kind of stuff. Then he came up with a hypothesis on how many holes I could drill, how far off the support columns I could come, and it was quite interesting on how that works. So, you know, they're okay where they're doing here, because they're not very far off of the end, and they've got a hole there. Okay, like if you want to put electrical conduit through there, or cable, Romex cabling, stuff like that, you can go through TJIs, but maybe not necessarily out in the very middle of a span or something. And like I say, check with your local building department, or look on the set of plans that you're working on. Don't just start willy-nilly jacking holes through the middle of these and cutting one that's a foot long or something, and you know, 7-inch diameter or whatever. Well, Joe said I could do that. I'm just commenting on how they did this and what you can and cannot do. Now see, before we started, this is how it looked, didn't it? It looked just like this. We took that plywood off. You saw, if you didn't see this whole video series, you might want to check it out. See how I did it, what I had to do. There's that long, flat
strap. It's a Simpson strong tie strap that's mounted down into the concrete. And there's certain straps, and you know, usually whoever's designing your project and engineering it, they know what type of Simpson ties, Simpson strap support beam connections, joist hangers, all that kind of stuff. On joist hangers, you have to use joist hanger nails. You can't even use a regular vinyl 8 or a 16 on that. You have to use a joist hanger nail. But for these straps, you know, usually you have to use nails like 16s, or you know, whatever the drawings say. So look at the drawings, read them, and make sure you get the right straps. You don't want to just go to the store and get anything, because if you're having it inspected, you know, building it from scratch, you can't just get whatever you think. You have to look, and you know, all the joist hanger straps have name letters and numbers on them, and you have to get the corresponding ones. A couple times I did certain things years ago, and they didn't have them, and I had to go somewhere where they had all the stuff, and they had to special order them and get the right ones, because I didn't want to have to go back to the designer, the engineer, and say, hey, I couldn't find these, can I use these instead? Because he's designed it all this way, so if you can get them, order them. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that. Now, I was about ready to say, okay, we're done with our project. Well, we're not done with our project. You might want to say, you might want to see me reinstall the exhaust fan innards, the guts and the trim and all that. So I still have to do that on this project before I call it good. So I'll make another video of that separately. Look for it. Well, I'm glad I'm done up here. Now it's all about getting all my tools back downstairs and get everything down here, get my light, my construction light. See, I use that construction light for everything. And it's a 500, you can't really see the whole thing, but it's a 500 watt construction light. And they have those in 300 watt too, but you know, the 500 didn't cost very much more, and I thought, hey, it'll probably put off a little bit of extra light. Let's see if I had this other light off. See how much light it gives off? That is a lot of light, but lucky for me, they had this one light up here too, so I'm using that as well as the other one, and I had plenty of light for my project and for the video camera. Okay, time to call it good. Okay, that's all the time I've got for today. All right. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.